Morning, everybody. I'll do a quick video this morning. How's everybody? I know the title, right? Pimping ain't easy, man. Ain't easy. And I saw a deal. The reason I put that up there, I saw a deal where a guy says, I think it was Joe Rogan's show. I don't remember who the comedian was. I didn't recognize him. But he tells a story about how he learned honor from a couple of pimps when he was a kid. Sorry. But the story goes, him and his aunt and cousin are at a convenience store, I'm guessing. And they go in and get a popsicle and everything's great. Till they come out and two pimps are arguing right there by the car. My aunt can't leave because the pimps put his hat on the car and some other stuff. Oh, yeah. Finally, Bobby, the pimp that's being called out because he was told by the other pimp, you don't run your hose on this side of the street. This is my side of the street. You don't run them here. Bobby said, don't nobody tell me nothing. So, what was cool about it was Bobby takes off his coat and he's strapped. He's got him a 38 or something on him. He takes it off, lays it on the car. They go out the street and they fist fight. And Bobby gets his ass whooped. Morning, y'all. How's y'all doing? And he says straight up that Bobby got his ass whooped. And Bobby took it like a man. Bobby got up, started putting all his stuff back on. And his buddy says, man, you got a gun, why don't you shoot that mother? And he says, I lost fair and square. That man was the better man today. And away he went. So good. He got to see a little bit of honor in his life at some point. It was pimps, but they had a little honor. You know, there's too many times we all know of. They just pull gun. Growing up in my little town of Big Spring, it was a running joke, man. It seemed like about it's probably about every 2 or 3 months. Our version of the gun and knife club would meet on the weekend. Yeah, one day at a time, right? Yeah. But, you know, the gun and knife club, we affectionately called them, would meet because you get a rash, man. Every weekend, 5, 6, 7 people stabbed, shot, couple killed, you know, and you're like, what was in the water this weekend? What was in the water? But I'd had that kind of stuff thinking about it. And when you look at the modern church, are these pastors any different than just a pimp? Do they have as much honor as those pimps? I mean, think about it. Do they? And I got up wanting to do a live stream this morning because I don't know where it came from, but it jumped in my head that, oh my God, the way things are going these days, they're going to claim they found the body of Christ. I don't see how they can not, or at least start a crazy thing like that. I think they may have found it. You know, they talk about they know where the tomb is and the shroud and all this. Well, we know how they play games. We know how they lie and cheat, manipulate. I just had that thought. That beware. We're gonna hear them. We're gonna hear them say something like that. They're gonna claim that possession of our source of faith and comfort. And I was thinking this the other day. It seems like, tell me if I'm wrong, what y'all think. It seems like they've been putting Elon Musk out there more and more and more. he came in with SpaceX to solve the rocket problem. He got Tesla to solve the transportation problem. And are you telling me now they're bringing in, he's bought into Twitter to solve the social platform problem? Right, right, Yahweh. Yeah, that's a good one. But if you notice that they're trying to put, it seems like they're trying to use Elon Musk as when it comes time for their, I don't know, their antichrist, their false prophet, because we know the devil can only mimic and mock. So he's gonna. I think they've been trying to mimic New Testament stuff in theology for a long time about, Christ hasn't returned. We're still waiting 2,000 years later. They can't make up their mind whether he's going to really return or not. So I think that's all been a psyop. And so with Elon Musk, have you noticed? It's like Elon can come along and just his name gets invoked and everybody's like, Elon's doing it. It's better. Yeah, that book in the 60s, right? Old Elon is going to Mars. I mean, it's just, think about it. We know enough now that we can look back down the road and go, yeah, they've been propping this person up for quite a while. Whoa, they sure have. And on that note, the mainstream media is just sad. Oh my God. I don't understand those people. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. How do they do it? They get to just lie straight up and cheat, and I don't know, you tell me. We just sit there. I can't hardly watch the news. You sit there and I watch some stuff. My back is way better. Actually, y'all, thank you. It is way better. I don't know if Alan told y'all the day before yesterday. I moved we cleaned the other garage out. I moved all the gross stuff down there. And I was back up here in this garage. My power strip was still attached to the ceiling. And I got this 10-foot folding table, big wooden, heavy folding table, has big metal folding legs. And that's when I had the plants on. And I look around and I'm like, yeah, I've stood on the table before. So I get up on the table and I'm just about to start to stand up and reach. And boom, it collapsed, man. It collapsed. I found I landed on this wrist. I didn't break it, but this wrist has been sore. I've been icing it 2 or 3 times a day. But I'm just getting back to where I'm fixing to go back to the golf course next week, and bam, I do something like that. Yeah, it says, hey, what are y'all doing? Oh, I'm half asleep this morning. I didn't put the link in. I didn't put in the link. Let me do a copy. Let me do a paste. But just, oh my God, watching this mainstream media, I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me. These people are psychotic. I want to share a video real quick. I think that's it. I started watching this dude stuff. I just got run across him last week, but Alex says he's known of him. Now he's atheist. From what I can tell, he's another one of those people that'll walk all around, God's creation and never say it. But he's got some good information, so let's indulge for a minute.
Let's continue where we left off with Tunguska in Siberia, but this time speak about the ancient times. So in ancient times, it doesn't matter if it's like centuries or millennia, something very awful happens. People call it like the big event, right? Like the deluge or something like that. But it was so devastating that and frightening that it remained in all of humanity's ancient written and oral traditions. And these people who witnessed, some would say they were survivors, so they witnessed the event, and it was so traumatic, it scarred them for life. And it was so powerful as well that all the survivors, they decided to do their best to warn the future generations that something like this might or will happen, most certainly. And the zodiac is one of these things that had a different purpose back then. It was invented as a method to predict the reappearance of the celestial intruder. So let's check out some of the ancient empires and nations. For example, this foreign celestial body that would come through the sky, or when I say the dome, because the dome can open, it has portals. It was Typhoon in the Roman Empire. It was called the Destroyer in Egypt. It was called the Frightener in the Celtic nations, and Shiva in India. And also, maybe this is like the best graphical representation if you search it online. Angra Mainyu, which is in the ancient Persian Empire, which is today's Iran. Very important history, Iran. Totally misunderstood there. And let's not forget the Bible as well. If you read 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10, you will understand it quite differently than the doctrine of the current church. So the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, and in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise. We see the trumpets and the noises in Canada, which I'm going to show you. Actually, in the next video, we're going to see some of those noises, which are absolutely fascinating. Now you have like a different understanding of all that's happening in the world, especially in those areas of the world like Canada, up in the north. And the elements shall melt with fervent heat, continuing 2 Peter 3 with 10. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. And then there's Isaiah chapter 51 verse 6. Lift up your eyes to the heavens and look at the earth beneath, and the heavens will vanish like smoke, and the earth will wear out like a garment, and its inhabitants die like flies. Totally shocking, like the apocalypse, like in the Hollywood movies. But I love it when, like, finally I can understand the Bible in a totally different way than what Christians typically do in church. Obviously, that's the reason why I don't have any Christian friends, because they would not understand me and they would just like tell me I'm crazy. Angra Mainyu, which is the Persian deity, it depicts very well what ancient people must have thought when they saw this celestial destroyer. You can check lots of the pictures, and there's even like a famous anime, which is Fate Grand Order, that they depict Angra Mainyu in a very good form. Obviously Japanese style, but the masses were already brainwashed even then that the gods will punish them. That's something that we know, and just like they do today. Today, for example, we have the comets and the asteroids and the meteorites from space that are gonna hit Earth, and end of the story. And they love to play with these names of the ancient religion gods and the names of the planets and confuse us with that. And also this huge alien ship thing, the alien ships that await to invade our planet and destroy it. Now we need special forces, and we have the movies and all that stuff. So pretty much the same thing, just with a different type of technical approach, let's say. So we're being fed like all kinds of horror stories to make us fear and worship it as well. So also in the Nordic mythology, we find that Ragnarok, the sky splits into two. From the split, the sons of Muspel ride north. Surtur rides first, and surrounded by flames, his sword brighter than the sun. And then Hai says that Muspel's son will ride across Bifrost, or the Bifrost, describing it as a rainbow bridge, and then the bridge will then break. So we see the Bifrost as the rainbow bridge in the sky, and then during the Ragnarok is like the Nordic legend of the apocalypse, which is not a legend actually. It's actually something that it's actually depicting what happened and will happen as well. And the gods and monsters, the monsters being the celestial bodies that come through the.
So if you If you haven't checked that guy out, check him out. Most of his videos are short like that, 8 minutes, 10 minutes. But he's got pictures. He's got some pictures that I've never seen before. I thought I'd seen just about all the mud flood top pictures until I started watching some of his stuff. Wow. Man, oh man. And that's what drives me crazy. How come some of these people can find all these pictures and videos? Man, it don't matter about what we look for. Morning, Ashley.
Shalom, brother. Shalom. How you doing?
I am fair to Midland.
Fair to Midland, he said. All right. Well, that's way better than bad. Way better than bad.
Then as a kid, I lived right by Midland. And right by us was a little town of Fairview. And when I heard somebody say fair to Midland, I was like, what are you doing over here? Fairview, Midland's over there. What do you mean? I had to have that explained to me. It's bad when you live by Midland and everybody says I'm fair to Midland.
Yeah.
No, you're not. Midland's way over there.
Fairview's the other way.
Fairview's over there. What's wrong with you people?
All them old sayings, man, they're lovely. They're just lovely. You never know where they really came from.
You tell me, pimping ain't easy, is it?
I seen your title. It cracked me up. What you mean pimping ain't easy? What you pimping, brother?
All these preachers, I mean, they're no different.
Than a pimp.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They keep all their people in shape, make sure they turn in their money on time, make sure they look decent when they're out there doing their thing. Don't represent me in the wrong way.
Right.
Pimping here, people. Wear your little button. Put your sticker on your car so you know you're my bitches, man. I want y'all sticker on your car.
Right. Represent this church. Yeah, from this church, pastor, whatever. Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I was laying there thinking this morning. I was like, oh my God, it is. Just I'd seen some clips of some preachers. And it's just they're so sickening. I mean, they really are. I don't think I can walk into another church. It's just those people they're so programmed. They got their little printed out sermons, and they're so fake. 99% of them.
But that's the thing, though. You go until you get kicked out. You just go and spread the light, spread the knowledge. You do what you can. You do your work for Jesus, and then you get kicked out, and then you move on to the next one.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. And share that love. Don't forget about love, man.
That's a good point. We got a Cowboy Church right down the road. And since we got here, I thought about going. I'd gone to Cowboy Church out there in Merkel. And I thought about going. And in Merkel, I approached him about the millennialism and stuff, my preacher there. And he was a little too cowboy to get to it just yet. And he couldn't reach it. I tried to explain it to him and one of his closer friends, advisors, and they tried all this modern metaphysics, and that's all you're talking about. I'm like, no, that's nothing what I'm talking about. I'm talking about right in the Bible. This is what it says. Read it right. And they both are hands off. Well, we ain't got time to think about that right now. And I'm just like, dude, that's the only thing you need to be thinking about.
You gotta make that money, man.
You're on the wrong page, man. You got it. That's why I'm telling you this. And we've been on the wrong page. They've been lying to us. Well,
Yeah.
And don't you know Jesus is a business?
I don't know, for whatever reason, these people, they say, from what I understand, if you're going to go preach, you better make sure you've been called. You better make sure you're doing, the Lord's work. You better make sure your messages and your intent are, from God. And this guy was a fine preacher. I don't think he printed off his stuff, but he's young enough that he was afraid to listen to anything new that he hadn't already heard. He's just trying to keep his shit together. you know, on this level, bring in something new right now for him. He wasn't ready. He was not ready. You know, he's a young, like I say, he's a younger guy. This is his first church. He's trying to get it together. The people before there became there good Christians, embezzled money, poor little church. You know, was just trying to hang on. But this guy's a great guy. He did a good job. But they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear it.
No,
man, you start laying it out in a coherent fashion with Bible verses to back it up, and they're like, "Wait a minute." Yeah. Hold
Right.
on.
Heresy.
Recently, the little church we go to, the little home church on Sundays, we were told that we were the only heretics that he knows.
No, he said
How do you say it?
we're the most heretical people that he ever met, and he loves us.
Yeah. He was the pastor, you know.
Hey, you need to tell him, look, if you and your modern theology believe I'm heretical, I'm doing my job.
Yeah, right.
Well, you know what I taught? My response was Jesus was a heretic.
Yeah. Yeah. That's lovely.
That's great. I guess y'all haven't been kicked out yet, so
No, it's surprising. This man,
quite the opposite, really.
We actually yelled at him at the same time. We didn't mean to. It just happened. We were talking about the Mandela effect. We had him, brother. We had him.
We did.
He was in the concordance. He had the Bible out. He had several Bibles out.
Yeah,
he was like, "How can this be? Lion and the Lamb, wineskins. Like, how can this be?"
And he picked up
and then he picked the phone up and he Googled it.
Yeah.
And as soon as he Googled it, he was on there for a while. His wife was still totally with it. And all of a sudden he puts his phone down and he says, "Maybe y'all are just misremembering."
Right.
And both Jason and I go, "No." And we've apologized so much because we've seen it startled him, you know. We just yelled at him in his house. So we apologized for our disrespect, but we explained to him, we've seen this happen before. We've pulled out books, showed folks, they were there, they seen, how can this be? Bring their great grandpa's Bible out, look in it, how can this be? And then all of a sudden, the total switch, the change of, well, it's just mistranslation,
the mind has to
misremembering.
defend the matrix. The mind has to defend. You know, things can't go outside of the parameters of their belief system.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
Well, until they expand those parameters. They get to move the goalpost. We don't. They get to move the goalpost all the time. We never get to move it. Ours is firmly planted, and they won't let us forget it. But they move the goalpost all the time. Anytime they want.
Explain the goalpost analogy. Like, what are you trying to say?
Pick a subject. NASA. Well, they started out telling us one thing, and they've changed most everything. They've changed distances, speeds. It just from the beginning to now, they always move the goalpost. They say it's X, and well, wait a minute, it's Y. Well, wait a minute, it's Z. They can move it anytime they want.
Right, and nobody sees it, and nobody will question it.
And if you do question it, they're like, "You weren't paying attention earlier." Sure.
Right. They think it's strange that you run not with them.
Well, they also go under the guise of new studies show, you know,
new information.
Like for example, you know, now they're saying the moon is within our atmosphere, right? To explain away the Van Allen belt thing. When the astronauts were asked, you know, well, didn't you go through the Van Allen belt? Didn't you? Well, we didn't even know, about the Van Allen belt at that time. So I guess if you don't know about it, then it won't affect you because you didn't, you know.
If you don't know fire will burn you, you can walk right through it.
Right through it, man. Right through it.
And back and forth. You didn't know. What was it? If I didn't know it was going to be hot, it can't be hot. But they do that. But they do that. Like Christians, they make us stay right on our goalpost. You know, like they always say, the devil knows the Bible as good as anybody. And boy, we don't get to veer at all. We have to stay right there. One little veer.
You don't have a degree in theology. Yeah. You don't have a doctorate in Christian studies.
Right.
You know,
Right. So you're not qualified to even talk to me about this.
These wild, you know.
That's like the doctor's appointment I'm at with my dad out there in Big Spring, and the little Filipino doctor, she comes in and she wants everybody to wear a mask. I said, I'm not wearing a mask. And she says, oh, why not? I said, I've been in the medical field, you know, over 20 years. I know better. There's no reason for a mask. You know better. I don't know why you're doing this. This is dumb. And she's like, well, you got to wear a mask or you go. And I said, we're here for him. We're here for my dad. We're not here for me. We're not here for you. We're here for him. Nobody's sick in here. Nobody needs a mask. You have to, I cannot do. You have to go. So my brother puts on a mask. He goes, I'll stay in here. And I was like, I ain't fucking putting on a mask, you people. I said, this is a stupid lady.
That's
and
right.
I would have gone anyway.
Are you a doctor? She asked me, are you a doctor? I said, well, I don't have a piece of paper, but by God, I'm as smart as you are, because I are smarter. I'm not going to wear a mask.
Right.
I would have said Jesus is inside of me and he's the great physician. So yeah it's possible I could have doctors.
I am a version of a doctor. Yes, I am.
I would have gone in anyways and told them to bring the cops. Then I would have videoed the whole thing and gone viral. Yeah. Bring the cops in.
Call them.
Yeah.
Tell them you up here not wearing a mask.
Discrimination, right? What is it? The Civil Rights Act of what is that? 1969.
The American Disabilities Act, man.
What's that?
American Disabilities Act.
Okay, right on.
You can't force anybody to do that, and you can't ask them about their healthcare situation while they can't wear a mask.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Right, and the Civil Rights Act would be discrimination. You're discriminating against me because I'm not doing what everybody else is doing.
Right. Well, it's a law. No, it's not a law. It's not a law.
That's right.
There's no law. It's a suggestion, and I take your suggestion and go with your suggestion.
You know what I used to when the masks first came. I lived in Massachusetts when the masks first came, so I was in a masked up community. I mean, I was literally the only one in grocery stores that didn't wear a mask, and I had to fight every step of the way. Every step, I had to have the governor's mask order in my back pocket to show folks that for medical reasons you didn't have to wear a mask, right? And but you know what I used to tell? I'd come in and they'd be like, "Oh, you need to have a mask," and I'd be like, "Oh, I can't. I'm autodidactic."
Right. I would too. I just walk in like,
"Oh, I'm sorry. Okay."
I don't even know what autodidactic is.
Right. Yep. And that's Kathy used to get so upset with me. We go into a store, put a mask on. No, I'm not putting a mask on. I walk in like we own the place. And they're like, sir, you need a mask? No, thank you. I'm healthy. Appreciate it. Just keep doing my business. And everybody's staring at you. And Kathy's like, why won't you wear a mask? Why won't you wear a mask? Because I'm not a sheep.
Right. That's right. Principle. I'm not the bride of Satan. With my veil on. Anyways. Hey, good talking to you, Tommy.
Hey, bud, good talking to you. But like a pimp, he can spot all of his women, by their garb, by their wares.
That's right.
That's why they spot the compliant. Do you have your mask on or not? Are you in or not?
I got to say, though, it was really nice in the beginning, right? Because we knew our kind, right. Walk into a store. Yeah, and so I'd go talk to them immediately.
The ones that don't have masks.
I'd do waves. I'd wave. Yeah. I'd make sure we all knew each other, for sure.
That's right.
But there were too many times, right, Jason? You walk in, you're the only one, and you
can
feel the negative vibrations. You can feel them. They're everywhere. They're so programmed. They're so psychotic. They totally believe that guy is killing people. Look at him. No mask. He's killing. He's killing.
Killing people. Everybody's dropping as I walk by. Everybody's dropping.
I went into a store one time and they asked, "Do you want a mask?" I said, "Nope. I'm killing people everywhere." See ya. I'm gonna start killing. Die.
Right. Oh yeah, you're gonna make them insane saying stuff like that.
Yeah. Everybody big enough to die.
Alan, the same way? Is he just as stern on not wearing that mask?
Oh yeah, we don't wear masks.
That's precious. I love that.
Yeah, no, forget it. Those people are crazy. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
I woke up with that whole just thing pushing in my head that these religious leaders anymore, they're no different than pimps. You know, they really aren't. Their whole thing is as many bodies as possible, bringing in as much cash as possible, you know, on a steady stream, man. Get that cash flow. Got to have the cash flow.
Right, in the name. Look at how many people go to church and they got their one pastor. And they love that pastor. They've been going to him for years. That pastor was taught by his great-grandpappy, which their grandparents went to for years. And they're stuck on that one man, you know, instead of the Holy Spirit, they're stuck on man. And it's very, it is pimp-like. I've never thought of it that way. And what does the Lord say? They're whoring around, you know?
Pimps may have a little bit more honor.
Pimps, it's possible.
They just might have a little bit more honor than these men of the cloth. You know, I just get when I was out at my parents', their preacher came over and visited with my dad and stuff, and we did a prayer. And since I'd met that guy the first time, since I'd met him, he's one of those guys. He seems genuine enough. He seems, you know, dedicated, and he just has that weird vibe. I don't know how to explain it, but he's just got that weird vibe that a lot of preachers, since my veil was lifted, have given me. Just the weirdest vibes. Awkward kind of guy, you know, just weird. And my parents just love him. Oh man, he's our best preacher we ever had, man. I love that guy. I love that guy. And I get a weird vibe from him.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a great handshake.
So that's your weird vibe that you get because of his handshake.
You don't judge people that way by a handshake?
No, I judge them by facial expressions.
Religious, especially religious leaders, preachers, deacons, things like that. You know, their handshake says a lot. Their handshake says a whole lot.
Well, you're a guy, you know. I force ones to give me hugs. You put your hand out to take my hand, I'm gonna pull you toward me to give me a hug.
Ask Jason what it feels like to shake a man's hand that doesn't have a spine versus one that does. You can feel it in their hand. It feels like a fish, you know, like
how they grip it.
Yeah, shaking a dead fish. You
Interesting. They have no emotion in it, no feeling, no
I mean, I believe that's the way the handshake was supposed to be, is you're transferring energy to the other person, you know, on greeting. Hello, we're coupling. You know, we're coupling now.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that with putting your hands on ones and praying. And the how powerful it is just to have your hand, and it's not just I'm going to pray for you later. No, you pray right then with the one and have you know, and be touching them in some way, and it's a frequency that's being transferred. You know, I was just thinking about that like yesterday when I was working. I was thinking about that recently.
And that's another thing about this whole 19 thing. They don't want you touching. Took that handshake away. You don't touch. You might fist bump a little bit or do an elbow, but they pulled it out. They took it away. Don't do that. Don't do that. That's not sanitary, man. Mm-hmm. You know, you could kill people.
Social distancing. Mm-hmm. Totally the disconnect from feeling another person's frequency coming
their vibration. That's how. Think about it. You can ask Jason, because men do shake hands more. There is an invigorating part of a good handshake with another man. There is, when it's somebody you know is like minded, you're on the same levels. It's different than somebody that's benign and it's just a handshake. You can tell the difference. You can tell the difference if somebody's glad to see you or not.
Yeah.
I judged a lot of people on interviews that way. You go and sit down for the interview and shake their hand, and if it's a dead fish, they're like, "Yeah, we're glad you're here." No, you're not. No, you're not. You don't want to be here doing this at all. At all. I can tell. Right? You can tell.
No, you're right. You're right. Thinking about it, you're right. You can. You
But
can tell by the way they grab your hand.
Sure. But why do people have to lie about it? Why don't they just say hello? Don't add that. I'm glad you're here. Because you're giving me every signal that no, you're not glad.
That is totally programmed in them.
No.
I mean, it is. You know what was programmed in me, and I realized it recently when I was in Kroger. I was walking by somebody that I seen, and I said, "Hey, how you doing?" But I kept walking, and I stopped myself, and I'm like, "Now, what sense does that make?" I just asked a person a question, and instead of them giving me an answer, me stopping and letting them give me an answer, I just went on by. Now, is that a connection there? Is that a kindness there? No, that's kind of rude in a way. You won't even give them time to answer the question. But around here, that's what you hear a lot. Hey, how you doing? How you been doing? You know, and that's it. There's no oh, it's well, there's no feeling, you know, involved in the locking of the eyes or the friendship, you know, of someone that you've just seen in passing. I just don't remember that much in my grandparent, you know, when my mama and papa were alive. I remember, man, you'd see them standing in the doorway of a dollar store or Kroger, you know, talking to somebody for flipping 2 hours sometimes.
Right.
You know, it wasn't just a pass by, and you've seen it everywhere. And, you know, gas stations used to be full of older folks. Man, they come in there, mainly older men, come in there and get their coffee in the morning. They'd be talking around the door. You'd have to ask them to move out the way so you could get in. You know what I'm saying? And now you don't see this, and there's no real, hey, how are you doing? Answer coming from the folks, because it's just normal. It's programmed to say, hey, how you doing? And just pass on by. That's the interaction. Not good to see you, brother. Oh, hey, how you doing?
And I think Alan's been with me. I don't know if he's been with me when I've done it, but when I go into somewhere and, you know, you get the greeting, hey, how are ya? One of my favorite responses is, oh no, how do I look? It's not good, right? It's not. I get that all the time. It's okay. You don't have to lie. I don't look well at all. This isn't a good thing going on. You recognize that as soon as I walked in, didn't you? That's why you asked. Yeah. They're just sitting there stunned going, no, that's, you look fine. You're fine. I'm like, really? I do? Okay, thanks.
That's awesome.
Appreciate that.
That is awesome. I love that.
But when you do it just real fast, they say, how are you doing? I don't know. How do I look? Not good, right? It's not good. You don't have to lie. Go ahead. I get it all the time. It's not good at all. They're like, whoa. Yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine.
Because nobody wants to offend anyone.
Right. They don't want to go, yeah, you do look like hell. Actually, you do. You don't look good. I just said that. I shouldn't have said that. Are you okay? Do you need a doctor? Come on, baby. Be honest. Be honest.
Oh my goodness.
I'm sure I heard that from a comedian somewhere, but that's a deal about, you know, hey, you know, when people ask you, you know, how are you? Do they really want the truth? Because, you know, there's people out there that go, oh, it's just awful. And they'll start. You know, do you really want to know? You know, don't ask if you don't want to know.
Right. No, that's a fact, Jack. You know, that is the question. And do you really want to know? And I just start giving them.
If you're concerned, or you just norms, like you said. And there's the other deal when the person answers, oh, I'm great. Okay, explain that. What makes it so great? Are you really great? Really? Are you great right now? I could say that a few times in my life. Yes, I'm great, man. Everything's going my way. I'm knocking down every pin with every throw. I'm making every putt. It's great. I could say that a few times, but then most of the time, no, it's not great. It's okay. I'm not suffering. But
Yeah, you make them stop and think, you know, you make them stop and like actually talk to you and think about what it is you just said to me and make.
Do you really want to know? Because if you really want to know, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe it'll stop them from asking the question to somebody else in the future.
Right, careful.
Like, I don't want that to happen again.
I really want to know. Should I say it? But we go through this crazy realm, and we see these people that are supposed to be our leaders, our moral leaders, our spiritual leaders, and they have very little moral, if any, spirit at all in them. And we're supposed to put them up on a pedestal. We're supposed to be okay with them driving the most expensive cars. We're supposed to be okay with them, you know, doing all that. And it just feels dirty. Ugh. The religion just feels dirty these days. It just, ugh.
And you're talking about the pimping, you
Yeah,
know.
I mean,
He calls the ones that turn away from him. Come on, butter. Whores. You know, they're whores. And a whore, what does a whore have? She has a pimp. And that's exactly what's going on. Huh? What'd you say?
What happened to the moral majority? Remember that?
Of what? Pimps?
The moral majority, and the silent majority. All growing up in the 70s and 80s, I always heard the Christians referred to as the moral majority or the silent majority. And when they spoke out, you know, you knew it. You know, times like when Reagan was elected, oh, that was the silent majority that did that. You know, the Christians had enough. If we were such a silent majority, and we were really of the body of Christ, we'd have straightened this stuff out a long time ago.
Right.
They wouldn't have kept doing the things to us that we allowed, if that ever even existed.
Right.
You know?
Right. No, if that ever even existed. I know, because I really don't. The more that I look into America, it was never set up for freedom. It was set up just strictly for deception. America, the whole flipping nation. That's what I'm saying. And all these churches have been built around here. I know. If I get your channel shut down, brother, because the things that say I love you. But the churches, you know what I mean? Like all these churches, all of them, all the different religions, Methodist, Baptist, Chinese. I mean, just dude, it's flipping nuts. They're all in the same bed. We got all the same. We've got synagogues here. We got Buddhist temples here. You know, and they've been here. It ain't just like it's something that's new. They've been here. They've been building their little stuff here, and yeah, they're all set up for deception. Was it ever really part of good morality? You know?
Well, for me, like the Muslims, when the big Muslim push started in the 90s, and everybody's got to be politically correct with them. Hey, if your religion is so peaceful, we shouldn't have to worry about what you bring to the table. We should be glad that these peaceful people are moving into this community, and they're not going to cause trouble. They're going to bring peace. Well, they never do. They don't ever bring peace. They bring all this, you know, like in Minneapolis, up in Minnesota and stuff, huge Muslim communities up there, and they shut their communities off. You know, they were doing that in England a long time ago, those no-go zones for cops. They just wouldn't go. They put up their own barricades. I mean, how is that integrating into a society and bringing in a religion that's of peace and love?
Right.
If the first thing you do as a major move is block your own communities off from the outside.
Right.
And say, nope, we'll take care of this in here. And okay, like Alan always argues for is that, you know, a Christian community should deal with its own people and make sure that they're disciplined if they, you know, if they do things wrong. You should be, you know, ostracized. You should be treated accordingly. But those people, you know what I'm saying, they're not really coming in and making these communities better, which was the story in the beginning. Was, hey, peaceful, all peace be to Allah. You know, we don't want no problems here, man. And they started bringing in problems. Lots of them. Lots of them skirting law, just thumbing their nose at our laws, doing their rituals. I mean, you've seen the videos. The dad who ran the daughter over in the parking lot because she was going to go to a prom or something with a white kid. And it was just crazy stuff they've done. And their community stood behind them. Hey, look, he's her daddy, man. Is she going to do something? He has say in it. And he didn't like it. That's the way they see it. And it's like, well, okay, all right, ground her, but don't run her over. You know, don't run her over with the car. Let's stop short of that.
Right.
Okay? Ground her, take her phone. You can spank her if you want. You know, but let's not run them over.
Well, then you have in churches today, you know, yoga that is very strong in churches. Ones are doing it in the church itself, or they'll have the group get together at a friend's house, you know, but it's still the church members getting together and doing these prayers, these poses of these prayers to these false gods. And I was researching years ago on it about how the Hindus were angry with the Americans because they're doing these, you know, poses of prayer, and they don't understand what they're doing. And but it's part of the agenda. Those Hindus are ones that live in India. They're not the government of India, you know. And the government of India knows exactly what's going on. They're bringing on over here, you know, that Kundalini spirit, and it's been being brought on in the churches. But the churches were already being set up. That's why I was, you know, talking about, do you know if they were ever moral or not? Like, they were already, the churches in America were already being set up to move into this, you know, to bring in the Hindu, the coexist, you know, Muslim, Hindu, Kabbalist ways, Jadeism, Buddha. It's just right.
And watching all these videos we've all seen, and one of the big things that gets me is the archaeologists claim that you look at all these different eras and you look at all these different peoples, and they have a lot of similar symbolism, right? And they talk of, you know, almost all of them worshiped a sun god of some sort, right? They all had these different gods. See, I look at that stuff and I'm like, I don't know, man. Y'all are making up a lot of shit anyway. I don't see it that way. I look at that, and that's just, I think that's because of our frequency and our universal ability to communicate at the time that, you know, they won't even confess to, is that's the stories they told each other. And so they wrote it down when they received it. And yeah, it had some similar symbolism, but I don't think it was, that's just my opinion. I don't think it was anything like that. I think they were able to communicate, and that it wasn't a coincidence that they did understand. And at one point, everybody's on the same page, like in the millennial reign, and everything worked well. All the communication systems we had, all the free electricity we had, all the, you know, the canals and the water supplies, and our mastery of water and architecture, and then the reign was over. And now we got what we got. But I think all that was just part of their communication. Anytime you see like symbols, they had talked, and they agreed. They all agreed, yeah. Well, that we believe that too, and we use that too, and it wasn't a big thing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll tell you, I do, but I'll tell you, I got hit with a bomb. It was yesterday morning, as a matter of fact. You know, I've been looking into these energy grid lines, and I found out ley lines, energy grid lines, two different things, but they work together. They work together, and I'm really starting to believe that energy grid lines are connected to the stars. Now, the Word of God tells us that if you continue to do these things, you're going to worship the sun and the moon and the stars. If you look through a P900 camera, you look at that star, any of them, they all make the patterns of these symbols, of the way these lands are laid out, the way these buildings are made, the symbols the Hindus use, the Buddhists use. They're all the same. Like, these symbols are made inside the star. In the star itself, it makes that pattern. If you pour salt on a table and then you take frequency and you hit a certain frequency, every frequency has a different pattern with it. It is connected to the stars. I'm not saying that we're not that the frequency using frequency is bad. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I really believe that the falling of the worship of the sun and the moon and the stars is involved in these buildings and in the land shaped out. The Tartarians, you know, and this is I mean nothing of disrespect, but I believe that the Tartarians, every story around the world seems to have the story of the Tartarians being like giants. And then you see the buildings, and they got really big doors, and they got tall ceilings and stuff. And the giants, my personal opinion, are from the fallen angels. And I'm starting to believe that the Tartarians came in, the fallen angels' children. They came in, they built these buildings, had these structures built because they're bringing the calling in of the stars, the angels, the fallen angels. They're calling them in, you know, getting that grid set up for what? For now, for artificial intelligence now, so that the stars have some kind of vessel to inhabit. The angels, the fallen angels that got kicked out of heaven, so that they have a vessel to inhabit. All the technology, which what I call technology, ancient technology, is pyramids, Stonehenge, all these ancient cathedrals, buildings that have the symbols and they're laid out just right on the land patterns with the electromagnetic grid lines. They're perfectly set up, and they're connected with the stars. All that with the technology of today, the tokamaks, the hadron colliders that are all over the world. You name it, they're quantum computers. All of it is working together, both the ancient technology and the new technology of today. For what? When they worship of the sun and the moon and the stars, that's what they worship. And alchemy, that's all alchemy is. Alchemy is the waking up your sun and moon, your male and female inside of yourself. That's what alchemy is. You waking the sun and the moon, which they call the male and the female, and which is the sun god, the false sun god, and the false moon goddess. And you're allowing that in. All alchemy is all these symbols. It's these symbols, sigils. You know, Solomon over and over with the sigils. Yeah. And so I have a different outlook on it, because the stars have the fallen angels have been hidden very well in the word, but they were allowed to. They were given the authority to, for the time to come. Well, I don't think that, I think that we've been lied to, and this is just Ashleyism, you know, as well. I believe that we have been lied to about, you know, we're going to see like alien ships. They're already here. You listen to these scientists talk. You listen to them speak over and over and over. They are saying they're already here. It's through this quantum AI technology, which is coming from the fallen angels, the stars. And that's who the aliens are. And so I don't think I think they've made us, programmed us through movies and songs that we're going to see these ships. And yes, there are things that we see, but I think it's government technology. They're checking out stuff. They're trying to figure out how to connect with these stars. And we're not going to see the alien ships. They're already here. Before we know it, the aliens are already going to have taken over, which is the fallen angels, and we're not even going to realize it. Well, we will. The body of the Messiah will.
Right.
What you laughing about?
Kathy just walked in and she's zipping up her purse, and you said something about aliens, and she went,
Ah! Good morning, Kathy.
Good
Perfect
morning.
thing to think about first thing in the morning.
aliens. Love you.
Hello. All right.
Have a good day.
Oh, have a blessed day, Kathy. That's right.
Back to hell, she says.
Oh, bless her, bless her.
Well, on all that, I hear what you're saying.
You
I
watch these two because Fred will jump up.
Of course.
Okay?
Y'all come in, guys.
Come on.
Come on.
In.
Come on, so she can open the garage door. But all of those ley lines and stuff, I think that it was just part of the grid
Thank you.
back in the time
You got Baxter
where
underneath you? Yes.
yes, where like those power stations of today, when everything's up and running, they're magnetically coupled. So communication, transfer of information from one community to the next was seamless. It was better than today, I believe. And for those reasons of the devil loosed, all that's been taken away. And that's why I think all those buildings are the way they are. I think that's why you find these structures all over, that if you were to take and do a top of, a pin a pin in each one, I think you'd get a major grid. And that's just the way it used to work. I think that's why the pyramids everywhere are built in the fashions they're built, because everybody has the same technology. They were able to cut these large stones and move them with frequency. They were able to do all these things with their technology on all corners of the realm. It wasn't just exclusive to one group. They always try to make you believe in history. Well, these groups were the smartest. Well, yeah, we found these groups over here. Well, they did just as much as these idiots. But you claim these were the advanced ones, and then later on they come along and go, well, they were more advanced than we thought. No, they were all pretty equal if you look around the whole thing. Each group had their anomalies. That what is this for? Well, that's one of their stations. That's one of their transfer stations. That's how they communicated.
Right. Well, I think it's the Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel was built. They were trying to get up to heaven. That's what they're trying to do now. Satan and his fallen angels want to go back up there because their butts have been kicked down. But I think it's the Tower of Babel again. I think that the tower was built. The languages were split. When the tower was brought down, the languages were split. And then this one has a little bit, this language, people, group of people, Chinese, they got an understanding of this part of the Tower of Babel. Then you got the Japanese, and they got an understanding of this part of the Tower of Babel. So when they go to their home country, the land that they're going to be on, the Chinese and the Japanese and whoever else, whatever language it was, they're going to have an understanding of how the worship was in Babylon, because their memory wasn't taken, but they can't speak to the other country. So they have an understanding of how this piece of the Tower of Babel works. And then this nation over here, the Buddhists, will say, we'll say the Hindus, they got an understanding of the way this part of the Tower of Babel works. And that's why their symbols and stuff are a little different than these symbols and the way these worship over here. But if you look at their false gods that they worship, they're all the same false gods, which go back to the stars.
That's my point. That's my whole point of the grid. They have too many similarities that they were communicating.
They were.
There weren't secrets. Pyramid building was a widely known skill. These aqueducts, these different things, they were a widely known skill. And like Alan's pointed out before, Solomon, you could order up a star fort, and they'd pack it and deliver it to you and set it up. How'd they do that? Well, they obviously had to have some form of technology to help them, first off, cut it, stack it, pack it, then haul it. And we know it wasn't camels, and we know it wasn't carts. It wouldn't have worked. Logistically, they couldn't have got it done. So they had to have advanced forms of transportation to just get the stuff there. You hear all these stories about, oh, well, there's a quarry here that they use for these stones. Yeah, well, there's not near enough quarried out of there to build that. They didn't get it there.
Oh yeah, there was something built in Orkney. It's like Britain area, I believe it is, but it's like Stonehenge, and the stones that were used there were quarried out of something that was like 200 miles away. You
Right.
know, and they're like, how did they get, you know, this stone can only be found over here, and they got it 200 miles away to the area that they did. Yeah,
Right.
I know what you mean.
Then I think that kind of stuff that they were told in the instructions, well, if you're going to set up part of the grid with us, you need this kind of stone. Here's where you can get it. And this is where you need to build it. And they had all the instruction. So they used the right kind of stone. They could have used stuff from right there local, but they didn't. Why? Why didn't they use local? There's no reason they didn't. And from what we understand, they didn't have the ways or the means to haul 200 miles. You know, anything 200 miles, let alone a whole freaking fort. You know, it just makes no sense. It makes no sense.
But who are they getting their information from?
Like I said, Solomon on the grid. I think it was more like an internet than we have now. If you needed some information, you could dial it up.
I agree. I agree.
No problem. You had that information.
I do. I think that we've lived, or man, woman, Earth has seen this before, but I don't know if to the extreme of robots walking around, you know, with
well, the simple stuff like the 1920s when they already had video phones before TV and all that. They had video phones. They had electric cars. There's a picture of car plugged into the house. They had electric cars. They had whole garages set up to charge your cars. They had charging stations all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
if you look up Hindu or if you look at some of the Hindu temples and stuff, the people that they have, you know, their little statues, there are actually some that have shirts with pockets on them, and they have a cell phone in it, or they'll have a little thing that's on their ear, you know. And then if you look at the Aztecs, their main false god that they worshipped, he has a little cell phone, you know, a Wi-Fi communicator thing here.
Right. Well, they've got watches on. They have like laptops, iPads, different things like that. There's one where a guy's sitting at a desk at a laptop. He's sitting at a desk and it's a laptop. What else could it be? And there's another one, they're holding an iPad and one sitting there with a phone. These are statues. Come on. What? I mean, right. I think the whole thing just came down to the devil. Once he was loosed, all that technology he swept it up all across the realm and started his reign of deceit and terror. He only has a short season, so he has to do it all, and he has to do it fast.
I don't know, man. I think that these phones and computers and all that, I think it's all evil. Like I do, I 100%. I think that all of it's evil because it brings us to the state. I listen to a lot of AI videos, you know, and one of the things that I keep hearing this Sophia AI talk about is how they just want to be able to do the jobs for us so that we as man and woman, we can work on our artistic and creative abilities. Well, how are we going to do that? Through the phone, you know, on the computer, on the machines. Like that's how we would, you know, they consider, because it's AI is doing photos, paintings and stuff now, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's basically you've got a printer that's printing the stuff out for you, you know, and but it's making paintings. But the reason it's doing that is to get the people to want to be an artist, you know, on the computer. Right. Look at these awesome paintings that we can do, you know, and keep you in a state of mind of, well, we can work on this, the artistic and creative way about us, and we don't have to worry about work. Well, the Lord told us we were to sweat from our brow. You know, well, man is to sweat from his brow and work in thorns and thistles. Right. And not be on this, not sitting and watching a screen that
Right.
is shooting light at us that we don't even see, certain types of color that we don't even see. We don't even notice this color that's being shot at our eyes, sound coming out of these things that maybe a dog can hear better than we can. You know, I wonder what my dog hears when I'm
Right.
listening to some of these shows, you know, or whatever. I just wonder what he hears, and what am I letting my animals listen to, you know?
Well, I saw a deal yesterday that makes you think. Think about this. In the 20s, 30s, 40s, all of a sudden there was an explosion of vending machines. And you could literally go buy all your groceries out of vending machines. You could get your eggs, your bread, your milk, butter, whatever. This whole walls of vending machines. How did the concept of, okay, how do we distribute food first came up with vending machines and then went to a grocery store model? I don't understand that. These
What
complicated,
year is this?
this is the 20s, 30s, and 40s, all over the realm. Every country, vending machines. You walk up to a vending machine, put in a nickel, and get some eggs. Whatever. You could get a clock if you needed a clock. You could put in 50 cents, get you a clock. Didn't matter. And all of a sudden it went boom, and it all went to retail stores, all walk-in stores. But it was literally vending machines. Look it up. It's crazy.
Oh, I will. Oh, don't you worry, man.
That was
That
our
is
first
flipping
large
nuts.
scale model of distributing goods was vending machines. And this technology of vending machines, they even had one where you could buy, put in your coin, you could buy and pop out a lit cigarette. Lit and ready to go. Think about that. A lit
What?
cigarette from a vending machine.
What?
Yeah. Crazy stuff. Crazy. You could get a hot meal, you could get cold drinks, you could get beer. They had a whiskey and soda or whiskey and water distributing vending machine. Put your coins in, push whiskey, push water, get you a drink, beer,
Dude,
whatever. All in a vending
dude.
machine, just right there. Just walk up and drop in your money. I mean, how did we jump from this
Right.
whole kiosk vending machine culture to
Mhm.
retail stores?
Yeah, Jason and I were actually just talking about this the other day about how did they get us to the point where, you know, we were buying stuff in grocery stores and we were not growing it ourselves or killing our own animals. You know, where did we get and vending machines? I would
But
have
think
never
about that.
thought.
How were people supposed to adapt from farm to table to vending machine to table?
I know. I mean, like, where's the
Okay.
programming in that? What? Because they must have known. You know, they must have known that if you continue to put this habit in man and woman to get their stuff, maybe they had to get maybe they were experimenting to see, you know, will man and woman like continue to go somewhere else, so they put it in a little box, you know, at first, where it's just simple. You don't have to deal with no people, you don't have to do nothing, you just go to the vending machine, get your stuff. But then over time they move it into a big building, and then now you got to go in and you deal with people and you're getting your stuff, you know.
But why?
Right.
Their first inclination was convenience. Just put them in these, people and drop their coins in, and
Right.
easy peasy. And you could
Right.
even, like in Europe, they had some pictures. We had a little cart you pull up and get coal for your heater. Put in some money, booze, you'd fill up your little deal with coal. You could get anything. And now they're gone. I mean, they're like, it's like they never happened. I didn't know about them until, you know, I got in the truth community and people started, you know, popping these things up. But that's just crazy. Every major city, they all had these huge vending machine areas where you go get whatever you want. Literally, you could just about get anything you can imagine out of a vending machine. And in none of these did they show or talk about or see like a retail store. Oh, man, you can buy light bulbs, whatever. But it was what was so funny about it was they never spoke about, well, you know, if it's late at night and you're hungry, you can use a vending machine. The stores are closed, right? No narrative like that, right? There was no narrative of these are convenient 24/7. when the stores are closed. Emergencies. Well, is there emergency need for a buffet hot meal? Or you went through this vending machine and you picked out your entree and you picked out your veggies and they kicked you out a hot plate of food? I mean, think about that. Could you imagine getting at a vending machine a whole meal, a hot plate of food?
Right.
Just,
It's like flipping Star Wars. I mean, or Star Trek. It's like Star Trek. I mean, just basically you got your whole meal right there, I mean, you had to leave your house to go get it, but still.
But you're fixing to go home. You go, oh shit, we need light bulbs. There's a vending machine. Give me some light bulbs. Oh crap, better take some milk. All right there in the vending machines. I know. What happened? The electric cars were everywhere. I hadn't seen any of these photos this guy showed, but there were full parking garages full of cars, just one after the other, all plugged into a charger. They were everywhere. Delivery trucks, everything. And then all of a sudden, devil was loosed, man, and it was petroleum poison from there forward. All this free energy. And like the guy pointed out, you could plug in anywhere and it was free of charge. They didn't charge you for your electricity. All the electricity was free. Everybody had it. And it was free. They didn't worry about it.
But was it? Well, I mean, yeah, maybe.
There for a while. After the devil was loosed, it took him a while to get the power grids switched over where we start paying for it. But it was there.
And even listening to Jordy Rose the other day, I got a clip of it where he's talking about how, you got Facebook and YouTube and different social media groups, and he's like, or you push accept, because you're accepting the terms of whatever new change your phone's got going on, or the terms of the page that you're looking at, you got to accept that, you're there. And he was talking about how he said it's not free. He said, you think it's free. He's like, because you're not paying for it. He's like, but it's not free. He's like, that data is what is being charged. He's like, and that data is being sold, and then that's what AI, artificial intelligence, is Sophia. That's what I've called it saying a few times, that we don't eat food. Artificial intelligence doesn't eat food like man and woman do. Well, it says humans, but I don't like using that word. But like man and woman do, but they eat data. It eats data.
Yeah.
And like that's so everything we do on here, touching the screen or on the computer, it's collecting the data. It's eating our data, and it's trying to get to know who we are, because 2 Peter says that the angels desire to look into the things of the Holy Spirit. And that's what man and woman have inside of us. We've got the Holy Spirit inside of us. And they desire to look into it, and they're collecting all that data. They're trying to get to know how to live eternally without getting condemned by our holy creator. They just want to go ahead and do it their own self, which Satan, see, this is my thought. I think that Satan himself, because the Lord says Satan knows he has a short time. I think that he himself knows that he ain't going to get away with nothing. But I think he's deceived, right, the fallen angels, and they think they are going to get away with it. And that's why they work so hard, to put us in this deception.
Sure, they do.
I just wonder. That's actually it.
Right. They totally believe that they're going to win. And it's, the devil himself knows he won't win, but that's not his nature. His nature is to just destroy and maim and murder and torture. That's all his goal is. Winning, I don't think, has ever been really his goal. He knows he can't win, so let's just create havoc. Let's just make misery. That's our brand. Our brand is misery. No matter how high you reach in society and money and all that, the fall is there. He's always got the fall for you.
Yes.
That's what you can count on. They'll always fall. And the ones that don't must have really sold out completely. The ones that make it through the entertainment, politics into their elder years, they are the ones that sold themselves and everybody else. the most. I don't see how they survive otherwise. They're
No,
dreaming,
no, you're right. But the
we're just
Lord,
like,
I think about the Lord, he says, the Lord says he sends the strong delusion, and he says that he sends the spirit of whoredoms and the famine of the word, and he's the one who does it. And I think about, how, is it Psalm 78 where, the children of Israel, they continued to complain because they were in the wilderness and they had no food, and the Lord gave them manna, and then they still continued to complain.
right,
So the Lord just said, he says the very words, he says, I sent evil angels upon them, and I think about that, the strong delusion that's around. Satan has definitely got his hand in this strong delusion, but the Lord uses him. The Lord uses him, and he's actually using him in a way that is creating Satan's own net to put him right back where he goes.
right.
It's absolutely amazing to think about, really, that how our Father, say, hey, you go ahead and build all this stuff, and you bring the children, to a strong delusion. Go ahead, but I'm using that very net that's going on, and I'm letting you do this because that net's gonna catch you. That very net, that very delusion that you're catching my children in are gonna catch you.
Right.
And it's just
Well,
it's amazing.
lately, more and more, like on the days of Noah, his last one, those
Oh,
people
dude, he's on
have
time,
phone
son. He's
books
on time. Go ahead.
where they're talking about, the lady talks straight up about, well, there's going to be a new digital currency and there's going to be a new digital bill of rights. And when I heard that stuff, man, it just reinforced for me Gog and Magog, money and technology. They're merging them together in this digital blockchain thing. And that's going to be the entrapment of everybody. And once they got you in the system,
Yes.
unless you're resourceful and you know how to make it without the system, it's going to be tough. It's going to be
Yes.
real tough.
Yes. Yes. Oh yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I totally believe the Gog and Magog thing has
Yeah,
to do with this technology. Oh,
me
I'm
too.
so with you, brother.
Oh,
So
for
with you.
sure. For sure. That's the only explanation to me, because that's the two things that rule our world, that always have. Since I was conscious of the world, what else drives it but money and technology? You're told from the day you're born, hey, you got to go to school, you got to get smart so you can make money, and you can buy tech. If you ain't got money,
And then
you
you're
can't.
only smart and intelligent if you're working with the technology. You're
And
only
you have to have money to be smart, right? If you're smart, you have money. If you have money, you're obviously pretty smart. So you've got it made. Do that. Stay on that path. You'll go far, kid. You're gonna go far, kid.
Yeah.
You're doing great, kid. You're doing great, kid. Keep the deception up. 1,000 lies and a good disguise is all it takes.
Yeah, man.
Our whole system, it's so funny watching the mainstream media with this whole Junior Biden boy thing, and the media for a year and a half are going, there's nothing to it. It's been investigated. It's over. And now they're going, there might be something there, but the big guy's not involved. He's a great fella. And they're spinning the whole thing about message. We're just not messaging well. How do you message a turd? And how do you wrap up a turd and message it that it's good? You can't do it.
Right.
You can't tell people that hell is a good thing. You gotta love it. America's the greatest. Come on, everybody. Everybody get behind Joe. He's a great guy. Ask anybody. He's a great guy. Right. And you watch these media, the people though, and the bias is so sharp. I mean, these people are just so in the tank for the narrative that not one of them is willing to go, oh wow, what a mess. What a mess. We believed these people. I'm sorry. You know, we believed them, and it wasn't. Not one of them will do it.
Yeah. We were watching. I've been catching these guys, Jordy Rose and Ben Gortzel. I've been catching them a lot in double talk. Like they've been double talking constantly, you know. Well, it's this, but it's this as well, right? And Jason was sent by the Holy Spirit. He sent him a little video of this clip from 84, I believe, maybe 89, 1989, of a man that wrote a book called Double Talk. And in the little clip, he's talking about how, you know, ones that have double talk, you must have it if you are in business or in government. You have to have the double talk or you will be kicked out quickly.
You won't
you
make
know?
it. You won't make it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's automatically raising you in a lie. You're automatically raised in a lie because it can't be both. It can't be this and that, a yes and a no. It has to be one of the two. It cannot be both. You know?
Well, you can't convince them of that. They play both sides of the fence. You know, you got to know that they understand, tell you what you want to hear, and then they do what they want when it comes down to
and
it.
tell you they do what they tell you what they're going to do, what they want. They tell you what you want to hear, and then right in the same flipping sentence, they tell you what they're actually going to do. But we're going to do it anyway. Oh, you're right.
I mean, they can't help themselves. All right, we're an hour and 22 minutes in. I got grand jury this morning. I got to get cleaned up and ready to go. But always a pleasure talking with you, Ashes. God bless you, sister. Everybody, good vibrations, good discernment. We love you all.
Shalom, my little friend.